power struggles, betrayals, battles, and dynasties. Today, we're diving into one of the most defining divisions in history, Sunni and Shia Islam. How did this split happen? How did it evolve over centuries? And why does it still matter today? This story has everything: political drama, epic battles, secret societies, and dynasties rising and falling. From ancient power struggles to modern geopolitical conflicts, get ready for a deep dive into one of history's most gripping narratives. Let's go. The beginning, the succession crisis. Our story begins in the year 632 CE. The Prophet Muhammad has just passed away, leaving his followers in deep sorrow and uncertainty. The big question looms: who will lead the Muslim community and carry forward his teachings? The choice comes down to two different viewpoints, each rooted in a different interpretation of leadership and legitimacy. Some believe that the leader should be chosen by consensus among the Prophet's closest companions, ensuring continuity and stability through community agreement. Others argue that leadership should remain within the Prophet's family, with divine authority passing to his cousin and son-in-law, Ali. This moment will shape the course of Islamic history forever, igniting debates, theological divisions, and political conflicts that continue to this day, influencing dynasties, revolutions, and power struggles across centuries. One group believes the next leader should be elected by consensus, valuing experience, leadership qualities, and the ability to unify the rapidly expanding Muslim community over familial ties. They choose Abu Bakr, a trusted companion of Muhammad and an early convert to Islam, arguing that the community should decide its leader through consultation and consensus. They emphasize the precedent set by the Prophet's closest advisors in ensuring stability and governance. The other group, however, strongly believes that leadership should stay within the Prophet's family, specifically with his cousin and son-in-law, Ali, who was not only a blood relative, but also deeply involved in Muhammad's mission. Their belief is rooted in the idea of divinely appointed leadership, where Ali and his descendants are seen as the rightful guides of the Muslim community. They argue that spiritual and moral authority should take precedence over political considerations, with leadership remaining within the Prophet's lineage to preserve the purity of his teachings. And boom! The seeds of division are planted, leading to centuries of differing theological, political, and social interpretations, shaping the course of Islamic history in profound ways. The first fitna, civil war, breaks out. Fast forward a few decades, tensions have exploded. In 656 CE, Uthman, the third caliph, is assassinated under controversial circumstances, sparking outrage and deep divisions within the Muslim community. His death is seen by many as a culmination of grievances against his administration, accused of nepotism and corruption. The unrest that follows shakes the very foundation of the Islamic world. Ali, a respected leader and cousin of Muhammad, finally assumes the caliphate, but his rule is immediately contested. Despite his reputation for justice and wisdom, his ascension is met with resistance from powerful factions who believe Uthman's murderers should have been swiftly punished. The most vocal opponent is Muawiyah, the powerful governor of Syria and a relative of Uthman, who refuses to acknowledge Ali's authority, demanding retribution for the slain caliph. The growing unrest leads to open conflict, as rival factions rally behind their chosen leaders, each convinced of their own legitimacy. The tensions are no longer merely political, but have deepened into ideological and personal rifts that will shape the course of Islamic history for centuries to come. The stage is set for one of the most defining struggles of the early Muslim world, a battle not just for power, but for the very identity of the Islamic Caliphate. The result? A full-blown civil war known as the First Fitna, a conflict that pits Muslims against each other in a brutal struggle over legitimacy, justice, and power. The Battle of the Camel sees Aisha, the Prophet's widow, leading forces against Ali, culminating in bloodshed and further fragmentation as thousands perish in the conflict. The battle is not only a military confrontation, but a deep emotional and political crisis, with families and former allies torn apart by differing allegiances. Soon after, the Battle of Siffin pits Ali directly against Muawiyah, leading to months of drawn-out skirmishes that claim many more lives. The battle, fought along the Euphrates River, sees both sides engaging in tactical maneuvers and fierce combat, yet neither achieves a decisive victory. As the conflict reaches a bloody stalemate, Muawiyah's forces famously hoist pages of the Quran on their spears, calling for arbitration, a move that places Ali in a difficult position. In an effort to prevent further bloodshed, Ali reluctantly agrees to negotiations, despite opposition from his most ardent supporters. The arbitration process that follows, however, proves highly controversial. Muawiyah's negotiators skillfully maneuver to cast doubt on Ali's legitimacy, leading many within his camp to feel that their cause has been undermined. The decision creates deep fractures, as some of Ali's loyal followers perceive the arbitration as a betrayal of his divine right to rule. This division ultimately results in the emergence of the Kharijites, a radical sect that violently opposes both Ali and Muawiyah, further destabilizing the Muslim community and setting the stage for even more conflict. The Kharijites, initially part of Ali's forces, become disillusioned after the arbitration process at Siffin, believing that Ali has compromised divine justice. They become infamous for their rigid and uncompromising beliefs, seeing themselves as the only true followers of Islam and declaring those who disagree with them as apostates. Their campaign of violence spreads throughout the region, targeting both Sunni and Shia figures whom they perceive as corrupt. They assassinate key leaders, wage guerrilla warfare, and destabilize Muslim society through their extremist ideology. Their opposition reaches a climax in 661 CE when Ali is assassinated by a Kharijite named Ibn Muljam in Kufa while leading prayers in the mosque. His assassination marks a significant turning point in the Muslim world, as it not only leads to the consolidation of the Umayyad dynasty under Muawiyah, but also sets a precedent for religious extremism and political assassinations in Islamic history. Ali's assassination plunges the Islamic community into further uncertainty, as his supporters struggle to regroup and determine their next steps. Meanwhile, Muawiyah seizes the opportunity to consolidate power, leveraging his political acumen and military strength to establish the Umayyad dynasty. This move shifts the caliphate toward hereditary rule, setting a precedent for dynastic succession that would influence Islamic governance for generations. With the Umayyads consolidating power in Damascus, the leadership of the Muslim world drifts away from its spiritual and political roots in Medina, marking a significant shift in authority. This relocation not only changes the political structure, but also introduces new administrative and cultural frameworks that blend Arab traditions with Byzantine and Persian influences. The First Fitna sets a precedent for future power struggles, embedding sectarian divisions that will continue to shape political and religious conflicts across the Muslim world. The split between those who accepted Umayyad rule and those who remained loyal to Ali's lineage deepens, giving rise to movements that challenge authority, some of which continue to impact global geopolitics today. The repercussions of this transformation echo through history, influencing governance, sectarian identity, and the balance of power in the Islamic world for centuries to come. Karbala, the tragedy that defined Shia identity. Now this is where history takes a tragic turn. The year is 680 CE, and the new ruler, Yazid, demands loyalty from Ali's son, Hussein. But Hussein refuses, standing firmly against what he sees as an illegitimate and oppressive rule. Hoping to rally support, Hussein and his small band of followers set out for Kufa, where they believe allies await. However, Yazid's forces intercept them in the barren lands of Karbala. Outnumbered and cut off from supplies, Hussein and his companions endure days of thirst and suffering as the scorching desert sun beats down upon them. On the 10th of Muharram, known as Ashura, Hussein and his small group make a final courageous stand, despite knowing their fate is sealed. One by one, his companions fall, including his half-brother Abbas, who dies while attempting to bring water to the camp. Hussein himself fights bravely until the very end, but is ultimately struck down, his body trampled, and his head severed as a symbol of Yazid's victory. The remaining members of Hussein's family, including women and children, are taken captive and paraded through the streets of Kufa and Damascus in a cruel display of power. This moment becomes the defining event for Shia Muslims, who honor Hussein as a martyr to this day, mourning his sacrifice and upholding his legacy as a symbol of resistance against tyranny and oppression. The tragedy of Karbala is not just a historical event, but a deeply emotional and spiritual milestone that continues to shape religious observances, political movements, and the collective memory of millions worldwide. Hussein and his followers are massacred in a battle that is as tragic as it is pivotal. His body is left desecrated, and his surviving family members, including his sister Zainab and his son Ali Zainul Abidin, are taken captive, paraded through the streets as a demonstration of Yazid's power. Despite their suffering, Zainab boldly challenges Yazid's authority in his own court, delivering a powerful speech that cements Hussein's legacy as a symbol of resistance. This moment becomes the defining event for Shia Muslims, who honor Hussein as a martyr and commemorate his sacrifice annually during the mourning period of Ashura. His story inspires generations, symbolizing resistance against tyranny and injustice. The grief of Karbala transforms into a movement, shaping not only Shia religious identity, but also broader narratives of social justice and defiance against oppression. Meanwhile, the Sunni majority continues to follow the ruling caliphate, reinforcing the political and theological divide that will shape Islamic history for centuries to come. Abbasid Revolution and the Golden Age. By the 8th century, the Umayyad dynasty is overthrown by the Abbasids, who claim descent from Muhammad's uncle. They shift power to Baghdad and usher in the Golden Age of Islam, a period of remarkable advancements in science, medicine, philosophy, and architecture. Scholars translate Greek, Persian, and Indian works, expanding knowledge across various disciplines and laying the foundation for modern scientific thought. Baghdad becomes a global center of learning, home to institutions like the House of Wisdom, where some of the greatest minds of the time collaborate. However, despite this intellectual renaissance, the Sunni-Shia divide remains deeply ingrained. The Abbasids, although claiming legitimacy through family ties to Muhammad, largely favor Sunni traditions, often sidelining Shia groups and persecuting their leaders. Shia Muslims, frequently marginalized politically, develop their own distinct scholarly and theological traditions, leading to the rise of prominent figures such as Jafar al-Sadiq, who lays the foundation for Shia jurisprudence and esoteric thought. As political tensions simmer, underground Shia movements emerge, fostering a sense of resistance against Abbasid rule. Periodic revolts and attempts to establish independent Shia-led states further entrench the divide. This ongoing struggle not only defines governance and religious scholarship, but also influences cultural identity and sectarian relations, setting the stage for future conflicts and shaping the evolving religious landscape of the Islamic world. The Safavids and Ottomans, the global split. Fast forward to the 16th century, and we see a huge twist. The Safavid dynasty in Persia declares Shia Islam as the state religion, marking a defining moment in the region's religious and political identity. This move is not just spiritual, but deeply strategic, as it cements Shia dominance in Persia while setting up a stark opposition to the Sunni Ottoman Empire. The Safavids actively promote Shia Islam, commissioning scholars to develop distinct theological interpretations, establishing major seminaries, and even enforcing conversions in some regions to consolidate their rule. Meanwhile, the Ottomans, ruling a vast empire stretching from the Middle East to North Africa and Eastern Europe, remain staunchly Sunni and view the rise of Safavid Persia as a direct threat. The rivalry between these two superpowers escalates into prolonged military confrontations, including the Ottoman-Safavid Wars, which reshape borders and influence the balance of power in the region. Beyond the battlefield, ideological propaganda flourishes, as scholars, poets, and rulers on both sides reinforce distinct sectarian identities that will last for centuries. The conflict extends into trade routes, alliances, and even local governance, with both empires using sectarianism to rally support and consolidate control over their respective territories. These empires go head-to-head, shaping the Middle East as we know it, influencing political alliances, territorial disputes, and sectarian tensions that persist even in modern times. The Safavid-Ottoman divide not only influences regional politics, but also plays a role in defining the broader Sunni-Shia dynamics that continue to shape religious and political landscapes today. Modern impact. Why this still matters. Fast forward again to today. This ancient division still plays a huge role in geopolitics, from Iraq and Iran to Saudi Arabia and beyond. The divide is not just religious, but also deeply intertwined with politics, economics, and global power struggles. Iran stands as the most prominent Shia majority country, with Shia Islam as its official state religion. Other nations with significant Shia populations include Iraq, Bahrain, Azerbaijan, and Lebanon. Countries align themselves along sectarian lines, fueling conflicts in Syria, Yemen, and Lebanon, where proxy wars funded by regional powers intensify divisions. Meanwhile, cultural identities have been shaped by centuries of Sunni and Shia traditions, influencing everything from religious practices to legal systems, social structures, and even media narratives. Economic disparities between Sunni and Shia majority regions further compound tensions, with competition over oil resources and strategic trade routes playing a critical role. Whether it's shifting alliances, sectarian violence, or regional policies, the Sunni-Shia divide continues to be a key factor in shaping the modern world, with ripple effects felt across international diplomacy, security strategies, and efforts toward regional stability. So, what do you think? Could history have played out differently? How do you see the impact of these events in today's world? Let's continue the discussion in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic deep dives into history, where we unravel the past to better understand the present.